Hello, everybody, all my friends across the whole world. This is a long awaited message from me about a very important topic which created a turbulence of debate. Give me your time for 5 minutes. A couple of days ago, I was doing a webinar with colleagues in Brazil, and we had a lot of registration, and then came the issue of office hysteroscopy and doing operative procedures like a myoma resection in the office. I gave my opinion, which I'm going to tell you now. Just give me your mind and your thoughts and your logic for 5 minutes. And then, astonishingly, I was heavily criticized by some of the participants. It was only one person, and he expressed his opinion that, dear Dr. Shawki, your attitude towards office hysteroscopy is simply explained by the fact that you don't know how to do office hysteroscopy. Well, maybe some of you could be laughing now. I don't want you to take it that I felt a hurt in my ego that somebody accusing me that I don't know how to do office hysteroscopy. I swear to God, it's not like that. But what hurted me very much, that I am the strongest support of office hysteroscopy. Maybe many will be surprised if I express myself by courage and say, I could be, I'm not sure, I could be the first person to perform office hysteroscopy. What is my evidence? Is it published? Actually, it was my MD thesis, and the date is there, and the thesis in the library of the university, it was 1989. And my thesis was doing hysteroscopy in the office for about 70 patients of recurrent pregnancy loss. It was diagnostic only, okay? And at that time, I was using hysteroscope, the 4mm, okay? And it was done in the office without anesthesia. It was just to go in and out and look inside. And the thesis is already printed and it's in the university. So, coming back again, yes, I am one of the greatest promoter and the strongest promoter for office hysteroscopy. I traveled each and every part of the world saying that every gynecologist should master the technique of doing hysteroscopy in the office. But what kind of procedure? My idea, my vision that each gynecologist should know how to enter the cavity, get a good view, and be able to know what is inside. In a sense, like a dermatologist. The dermatologist can look at the skin and tell this is eczema, this is psoriasis, this is dermatitis. So the same, every gynecologist should be able to extend his office examination beyond just a speculum looking to the vagina, beyond that to the cavity, and to know that this is proliferative endometrium, this is secretory endometrium, this is hyperplasia. This could be malignant and should be able to take a biopsy and remove a small polyp or retrieve a missed IUCD. That's office hysteroscopy. But simple tools requires no sophisticated steps and tolerable pain. I will not say painless. I'll be a liar. Please, I get very surprised when people say painless. No, it's not painless. I mean tolerable pain. It should not exceed certain time, certain tools, affordable budget for each and every office. And then the change happened that people had an enthusiasm. And let me be clear, when I criticize a technique, I'm not criticizing the person. If somebody says, I don't like Indian food which is spicy, you are not criticizing Indian people. It is you that cannot tolerate the spicy food. So please, I have to be careful about this. So the idea of expanding office hysteroscopy beyond what I have said to the extent of removing large fibroid, big septum, extensive Asherman, it was an enthusiasm. And it's not wrong to have an enthusiasm. But what was the price for that? The price is, instead of a simple examination bed or chair, you have to get an expensive examination chair that have the ability to change the position of the patient and allow a long procedure like this. You have to get gadgets and tools to satisfy the procedure of a resection, whether a mini resectoscope or an electrocautery and a good pump machine to get you fluid. And above all, doing such procedure, you have to see well. You cannot operate with a simple monitor or a TV screen. Ask yourself, how much a good resolution monitor? Okay, so it's not office anymore. You have everything in the operating room except the anesthesia. You have everything in the operating room plus the complication possible in the operating room. You have the setup in a place which is not sterile like the operating room. How can you guarantee sterilizing the equipment in the office with patient goes in? Where in the same bed another patient was just having examination for vaginitis. Where in the same bed patient can be sitting just to examine for any other indication. That was my vision. We are killing office hysteroscopy by adding heavy weight for the horse and it will fall down. I'm talking logic. What is the gain of putting all these expenses and putting the risk of these complications just to avoid the anesthesia? Maybe in some countries that could be feasible. Maybe. There is another very important point, which is human rights. Yes, let's talk about human rights. Have you imagined what is the feeling of a patient awake, alert, lying on her back, and you are sitting down like the car mechanics fixing the car from below for a long procedure like a myoma, and she is hearing the sound of the equipment, and you are calling for electrocautery and the sound of the laser, zzz, tack, chuck, 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 for 20 or 30 minutes? If this is human, even if you tell me we are caring about to avoid anesthesia and the risk, and if this is human to allow the patient working under these circumstances, the patient is tense, the doctor is tense. Don't tell me that you are not under tension. Your hand movement are very careful that the patient is screaming or something like this. And suppose you started by a mini resectoscope with no need for dilatation and you are surprised or by a situation you have to dilate and use a bigger instrument. Okay, you will put local anesthesia and sedation and you are adding so many steps to tolerate dilatation of the cervix. So what is the gain? I am talking logic, science, and wisdom. If we want to popularize hysteroscopy, this is not the way. And don't tell me some people can do that. Those some people who can have the extra skills and the magical hands that the patient will not feel when they insert a resectoscope, and still they can afford to get expensive monitor. Okay, all right, let them do it. I'm not against them. But if this is the philosophy of office hysteroscopy, again, I started office hysteroscopy in the year 1989. Go to publication, somebody search for this for me. And this is already published in my thesis, which is in the library of the hospital, Cairo University. And it was tolerable. Pain was tolerable. I cannot imagine that I do myoma resection in the office 30 minutes. And the water pressure, sometimes you have to increase or decrease if you have a bleeding. And then, if complication happen, we are not saints. We are not Michael Schumacher, the greatest car driver, or complication can happen. Suppose perforation happened by the resectoscope, you touch the bowel, or anything, or unexpected bleeding from coagulation defect, or whatever. What you will do in the office? You will call an ambulance and take the patient to run to another place? So, forgive my enthusiasm, okay? When I'm enthusiastic, I speak passionately. Please, all my friends who are a big supporter of myoma resection in the office, I am not against you. Most of you are my friends and you are skilled and you have very well equipped office wherever place you work. But this is not the message that office hysteroscopy can accommodate and absorb, making a myoma with a laser or electrocautery with a monitor and a pump and a good camera. How can you operate such procedure with an average camera? So, my message to all my friends, let's practice the procedures wisely. Let's not kill office hysteroscopy by overriding or putting heavy weights that it cannot withstand. At the end, I want to show this statue to me. Come here. There is a Greek mythology about Sisyphus or Sisyph, or I don't know how they pronounce. Sisyphus is the person who had a perseverance and enthusiasm carrying the rock to the top of the mountain. And each time he approached the top, the rock falls back again. So he never lose hope. He come down to take the rock and come up. So look at the muscles in the leg, in the hand. That's my life. And that's the lesson I teach every beginner or junior. You should learn well. You should learn well, study very hard. You should practice very hard with enthusiasm. You should spend tireless days and days building up your experience. And what does it mean, experience? Experience that you fall down, you do mistakes. And then you learn from it. And next time, you adapt. You do change. Building up failures and then experience. And then you have the right to sit in my chair and tell your vision. Thank you, my friend. I hope you got my point about office hysteroscopy. I am Osama Shawki from Cairo University, Egypt. Thank you very much.